This suit finally sold. Suits and jackets have been doing pretty good for me, pretty well for me. This is a Hickey Freeman, which I don't really advocate picking up all that much unless it's something like this. This is Laura Piana, and it's Tasmanian wool. And Tasmanian wool is one of those wools that confers a little bit more value. Tasmanian wool, Mongolian wool. I've talked about this elsewhere. And I had this priced up stupid dumb high over at eBay. I had it up for 500 bucks and it sold here for 135. Go figure. This buttercloth shirt also sat for longer than I would have thought it would. It was new with tags. I picked it up at a Goodwill for probably 12 or 15 bucks. I don't recall. It was a while ago. This is a brand that has some kind of an affiliation with Shark Tank. I don't know if they funded it or Robert Jurkirker, or however he pronounced his name, is attached to it somehow. Maybe it's his brand. I don't know or care. 70 bucks. The sell-through was really good on buttercloth. I haven't checked it in a long time since I made the last manifesto. That's in the description. It's 330 men's clothing brands. If you don't know what you're doing with men's clothing, it's free or pay what you want. The details are down below. Did flip for 70 after haggling and had it listed for 100. It is nice stuff, so if you find it for cheap, you can probably flip it for 30 or 40 really quick. Just a nice little bins flip. This is, I think, what's called a peasant top, made well. My women's keywords are a little hazy. Texture and thread tiered sleeve top. I got those keywords from searching that style number, so that's the actual proper term for it. I would have thought this would flip for a little more, but whatever. This was new with tags. It's Banana Republic, which is not a very good brand, but kind of like Dockers and Hagar. If you can find it with the tag still attached, it does recommend it to pick up, to flip. 32 bucks. Was a quick flipper for some reason. These are Iron Flex cargo shorts. The brand is very so-so. It's not all that strong, but I think this was a bins pickup. And it flipped for 20 bucks, which is pretty decent. Very bread and butter, dry fit Nike shirt, size large. I believe I got this for 2 bucks at a Salvation Army. Took a long time to sell, 15. Nike is good just to fill in the cracks, so to speak, in your inventory. It's just a good filler brand. It doesn't, most of it does not flip very quickly or for all that much, but something like this, if you pick it up for really cheap, you don't mind sitting on it for a while, realizing profit down the line, that's fine. This is some musician named Anthony Green, and had a flaw, still flipped fairly quickly for 20 bucks. Band tees, music tees can do pretty well. Hey, sorry for the fact that my face remains blurry for a lot of this. The autofocus on this camera is not that great and I wasn't paying attention to it. I think I got this for $1. It is a vintage Peter Millar polo shirt, a cotton polo. You can see it's fairly vintage there. And it's attached to this golf course sandpiper. Had some yellowing on the collar and a spot on the back. And it looked like maybe some staining on the armpits. Yeah, the striped shirts are a real pain because it's hard to see these kinds of armpit stains or lighter, like not super obvious grease stains on them until you get them under the fluorescent lights and you get some distance and you're looking at it through your phone. Then they're very conspicuous, but when you're looking up close like this, you can see, even in the photo, you can barely see it. One trick with that is to just hold the striped stuff as far out from you as possible, or now that I think about it, probably makes sense to set it somewhere on, like hanging in good light, and then walk back from it and look at it. Although you wouldn't really be able to see the armpits if the arms were hanging down. It's just, it goes with the territory. It's an occupational hazard to striped clothing like this. Still flip for 22 bucks. This is a Patagonia polo shirt with the trout decal and had a lot of flaws. My friend was generous enough to pick this up for me, so I got this for free, or I might have bought him a coffee or something. I don't remember. Also armpit stains, 15 bucks. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Patagonia is a good brand. We're on to eBay. This one just sold. It's a vintage chenille, knit chenille plaid or check jacket. Chenille is I don't know, I could dig some fly tying material out to show you, but it's the really fuzzy yarn. It's polyester yarn. I think it's polyester. It looks like pipe cleaner a little bit, and that's not all that common. Pretty eye-catching. Got it for, I don't remember how much, but it flipped it for 40. So probably didn't spend all that much on this. I don't think I would have. As a general note, sales are still a little bit depressed. They're picking back up, but also I haven't been listing as much as I should, just because I've been working on my neck a little bit more, and listing is really hard on my body. So I haven't been listing as much as I should. The sales are still okay. I had this sitting at 75 for a while. I just took a best offer on it for 55, which is fine. Probably got this for 5 or 6. It's a vintage, I don't know, does that count as vintage? 03, 04. This is a t-shirt from BTS, I think. Yeah, the Korean pop band, and sold for 20 bucks. I used to live in Koreatown in Los Angeles, and I would find BTS clothing a lot. And I thought it was a niche band. This is a vintage horror mass market paperback that's not all that common, 15 bucks. I really love flipping this kind of a book. It has a big grease stain right there. That's okay. I'm getting the itch to sell more books, to kind of add a couple more bookshelves to the apartment and add more books into the inventory, because they're so enjoyable for me to source, and I think that I would like it to be a little bit a bigger part of my income. Got this for either $1 or $2.50 at a bookstore. Papal Magic. It's an occult book. Occult books, metaphysics, New Age, cryptozoology, UFOs, psychic stuff, especially if it's vintage, and especially if it's a vintage copy of a well-known book. Those can be worth really, really good money. This is a mass market, but it's rare, and it was a first edition, first printing. These flipped within probably 20 minutes of them being listed. These were 2 of the vintage shirts from my vintage haul from Goodwill that a lot of people went out of their way to point out was full of mids. Bunch of mids, bro. Low-key dog. Those are not fire facts. Finally got around to listing them, and a couple of the mids flipped for decent money. This would have been at the bins. I would not have paid more than, like, I don't know, maybe $2 for this. Polo Ralph Lauren. It's a performance polo. It has that like smooth synthetic fabric, and it's from Torrey Pines, and it's a recent tag. Flip for 22 bucks, 49 cents. If I can find this stuff for really cheap, I'm happy to list it. I would not spend standard retail prices of like $4 to $8 for this. Warhammer book, or Warhammer 40K, 13.5 bucks. I don't know anything about Warhammer, but I think this is the most popular novel series, Horus Heresy. This sat through a few cold months and then flipped right as the weather started turning nice around the country, which is not a huge shocker. Huge shocker is that I allowed this blurry photo to slip past me. But that's the name, American Fishing Tackle Company, or AFTCO. Really solid fishing brand, and just a basic t-shirt like this still flipped for 19 bucks. This is an old like choose your own adventure style kind of RPG inside of a novel book. My older brother had a lot of these when I was growing up, so these usually catch my eye. And there's some good demand for this kind of a thing. So some of the like older choose your own adventure books can be worth a ton of money. Another one I would not have spent more than like $1 on, or picked it up at the bins or something. Nike, just basic Nike, you know, 15 bucks. I had so many low ballers on this that I ended up just flipping it for 10.5 bucks to be out of my misery. This was a bins pickup. Volcom is okay. This was from a flea market. It's an old repair manual, or I guess not that old. It's from the 2000s. These technical books, technical manuals, are a lot of them pretty good sellers. I would not have spent more than probably 50 cents on this. And also books ship out media mail, so the shipping's real cheap. I'm skipping over a bunch of the boring bins, you know, vanilla flips. This one I include because it's a new brand to me, Scorpio Soul. It's like a women's athletic or athleisure brand, and it sold fairly quickly. I think I looked it up and the numbers were so-so. but I included here just in case it's a good brand. This one made me a little bit sad because it's Isaiah Napoli, and Napoli is one of the nicest suit brands that I find on a semi-consistent basis. This stuff is worth a lot of money. This ended up flipping for $100. I think probably because it had a couple flaws, and it's just not the most desirable color. Brown is kind of, I won't say what kind of brown. Did it have another flaw? Oh, that's why it took so long. Okay, it had a stain on the leg. Still flipped for $100, and it's 3-button, which is not very in vogue. But remember this tag. Isaiah, you can see the Napoli there. Isaiah Napoli, right on the strut of the A. Gianluca Isaiah Napoli, I don't know, that might be like a lower end subline of Napoli, but anything that I find Napoli I pick up. This is another one from a flea market. It's a boys XL. I really don't like selling kids clothing, and I didn't realize this was a boy's shirt until after I'd picked it up. I sell video games as I find them. I don't actively hunt them out because I don't find them all that much. I found all 4 of these sitting side by side. I think they were probably $1 each or $2 each or something. Flipped them for 40. They are untested. I just say they're untested. When they're untested, I offer free returns. And I say that in the description. In case of playback issues, I offer free returns. This has not been returned. This is a vintage fantasy paperback from Lynn Carter, who is a popular fantasy writer. This is a rare one, and it's a first edition. It's not even in that good of condition. Still flipped for $37. I've said this in other videos. If you sell books on eBay, one of the big advantages you give yourself over Amazon sellers is that you can take a bunch of photos of the condition, and if you actually know even a little bit of the terminology of book selling to be able to describe condition and condition issues, it makes you look a lot more professional, and it instills a lot more trust in people. Where if this was just sitting in a text-only listing on the Amazon page and I had a stock description, a copy-paste description in there of may show condition issues, blah, blah, I don't think someone would have spent $37 on it quite as quickly. And this wasn't a super quick flip, but it wasn't that long either. Very happy with this. This is a D&D first edition supplemental book, and RPG books, one of the easiest categories of book to sell. They mostly sell themselves. Not all of them, I mean, this goes without saying, not all of them are worth money, but a lot of them are, especially if you can sell them in lots. And especially the vintage stuff like this. Another Robert Graham piece, $25. Robert Graham going the way of Tommy Hilfiger, in my estimation. It may have run its course as a prestige brand for a resale. I still pick it up, it's still okay, but it just does not get the prices that it used to. Which I think pisses a lot of people off, but that's how it goes. Be on the lookout for these. This is Lucky brand, and it's a Henley, long sleeve Henley thermal or waffle knit shirt / lightweight sweater. These truly do sell themselves. This is like a total no-brainer to me. The lived-in thermal Lucky brand is a pretty strong brand overall for men, and these shirts like this, mwah, that's amore. Venice Burnout also is the money. This is a similar piece, actually. This is more of a sweater, but this is also a Henley. Henley is defined by these little Joe Rogan buttons up here. This one only has one, but there will just be 2 or 3 buttons right at the top, almost like a polo shirt. Another new with tags pair of an ass brand, Slack, Dockers, $25. I must have picked this up at the bins. Even though I've done well with this kind of a pair of pants lately, like these just everyday slacks, work slacks, from bad brands that are new with tags, still I don't think I would pick this up for certainly more than like $5, and that would be a stretch. These flipped pretty much right away, I think within 48 hours. I had them listed for $50. Someone took an offer for $45, and out they went. I got these for $1 each. It's a good Bolo brand. It's Brunello Cucinelli, and these pants were really beat up, not in good shape. But they still flip for $13, and I got them at the bins, which is why they're priced so low. Made in Italy, manufactured by Gunx. I don't know that many details about this brand off the top of my head, but I remember it being pretty prestige-y. This is from way back, from that big giant flea market haul that kind of kicked me off as a booktuber. I started a book channel reviewing, you know, and hauling books. It's called Book Pilled. I'll put a description in the link if you're curious to hear me talk about science fiction literature, which you probably aren't. But this flipped for 35 bucks. That stuff is still slowly selling off. I just voraciously consumed that big stockpile of books, and I put them up regardless of sell-through. A lot of it is pretty obscure, older stuff, so no surprise that it's taking a while to sell. Not all books are long tail. If you want to learn how to do the quick flipping stuff with books, like to find in-demand books, learn how to scan stuff on the Amazon app and read the sales rank, or also just run the sell-through exercise on the eBay app, looking at actives and solds just like you would for anything else. 35 bucks for this is pretty good. I may have just gotten this for free. I got these a long time ago. This is one of 2 pairs that I picked up. It's kind of modal pajamas, a pajama set that's new with tags, and I got these at the thrift store that's a block away from my apartment that closed down the day after I moved into this apartment, and that's one of the reasons why I moved here. It was heartbreaking, but it lives on in my heart. This is a kick-ass item. I had this for a while, so I think I probably had it priced up too high. It was $75. It's a knit cycling jersey from Rafa. This is among the very finest cycling brands that there is. This is like beyond Lululemon. Just total no-brainer. I've only found it probably 3 or 4 times ever, but it's all sold right away for pretty good money. This is the longest a Rafa piece has ever taken to sell. Okay, maximum file size reached. So the end, I had a few more sales. You know, stuff is still moving. Hope it helps. Thanks for watching.